a topic, if I might. You be the one.
Amen.
You be the one. Amen. I'm going to give you my disclaimer now. I don't stand still too long.
Amen. It's all right.
As small children, two of the first things we are taught to say are please and thank you. You remember, don't you, whenever someone gave you anything, if you didn't acknowledge the gift, someone was there to quickly remind you to say thank you. I like that. Likewise, when you ask for something, we were reminded to say please. If it just happened to slip our memory, please and thank you, words that fell on our ears as far back as we can remember. By nature, we are very grabby. Taking, snatching. By nature. Have you ever watched babies and small children? They feel like that the world belongs to them and it revolves around them.
Amen.
When a baby cries, they want attention, and they want attention now. They could care less if you're in the middle of something very important or if you're drop dead tired. They want attention and they want it now. So what if you just worked a double shift? That's your problem. Right. I want you to play with me and no, it can't wait until you take a nap or catch your breath. Right. I want you to play with me, and I want you to play with me now. So what if you're in the middle of cleaning the house? I'm hungry and I want my diaper changed now. So just stop what you're doing and take care of me. Right. Small children and babies want attention, and they want attention now. Not only do they want attention now, but everything belongs to them. Right? Small children are always reaching for something, taking something that belongs to someone else. A small child can walk into the home of a complete stranger, and if they are allowed to move and roam freely, before it's time for them to leave, something in that house will be stamped mine. It can be the toy of another child, trinket from the coffee table or off the shelf. It may be something as simple as a piece of candy, but something in that house will inevitably become theirs. Think about it. We teach children to say mommy and daddy. No one ever had to teach a child to say mine.
All right.
Okay, let me take a poll. How many of you parents taught your child to say mine? I've never met one yet. That attitude is just in our human nature. It's how we were when we were born. It's innate. No one teaches a child to grab. No one teaches a baby to be self-centered. We are born with that attitude. Right? No one teaches a baby that the world revolves around them. They just order it so. But we do have to be taught to say please and thank you.
Amen.
No one had to teach them to reach for the candy. They just wanted it. No one had to teach them to want attention. But somebody had to teach them to say please and thank you. The attitude of gratitude is not innate. Let me say that again, just in case a couple of you missed that. The attitude of gratitude is not innate. Growing up, my father used to say, self-preservation, first law of nature. I didn't understand what it meant until I grew older. We will do what we want to do and what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Right? But we still got to be taught how to be grateful. Here in the 17th chapter of the Gospel, according to Dr. Luke, we have the story of the cleansing of the lepers. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. He is traveling along the border between Samaria and Galilee. While on his journey, Jesus' attention is drawn to a group of lepers standing off at a distance. They are crying out in a loud voice, "Jesus, have mercy on us." Within this group was a mixture of nationality. 9 were Jews and 1 was a Samaritan. This was both strange and not strange at the same time. Under normal circumstances, Jews and Samaritans never would be found keeping company with one another. The Jews and the Samaritans were enemies. Samaritans were people that were hated by the Jews. These two groups even refused to walk on the same dirt. And they wouldn't even breathe the same air if they had a chance, a choice. The Jews viewed the Samaritans as unclean people. The problem arose when the Samaritans adopted the god of the Assyrians and then began to offer polluted or secondhand worship to Yahweh. Although the Jews didn't do everything they were supposed to do when it came to worshiping the Lord, they quickly looked down on those who treated God as if God were just a mere common, powerless idol. Can I put a pin right here? Go ahead.
Talk.
Isn't it interesting how we can find fault with everybody else? I know it's not like that here in Albuquerque, but in some places where I pastored, everybody else got issues.
Talk.
Not me.
Yeah.
Everybody else caused the problem. Right? Not me.
Yeah.
Everyone else said it. Not me. The Jews did not do everything they were supposed to do, but they sure knew when somebody else didn't do what they were supposed to do. Let me move on.
Talk about it.
I'm sorry, let me move on. Not only that, the Samaritans were the ones who polluted the precious bloodline of the Jews, and the Jews were not happy about that. Under normal circumstances, Jews and Samaritans were enemies. But these weren't normal circumstances. They were all lepers. Regardless of their nationality, regardless of their social and economic standing, they were all in the same boat now. Their leprous condition made all barriers null and void. All 10 had been exiled from their homes and from their family and from their friends. All 10 were forbidden to participate in any religious service. All 10 were afflicted with a dreadful disease. All 10 were determined to find a way to do something about their situation. All 10 had heard about this man named Jesus who had the power to heal, and they thought that maybe if they could get to Jesus, maybe Jesus would just have a little pity or mercy on them. So all 10 appealed to Jesus and acknowledged Jesus as Master and Rabbi. All 10 obeyed the Master's command to go and show themselves to the priest. And all 10 were healed. The fact of the matter is that they had more in common than they didn't have in common. Isn't it interesting that we spend so much time looking for our differences? But the fact of the matter is we always have more in common with one another than we have differences. Here are 10 people who only had each other because of their condition. They stood off at a distance because leprosy included a variety of diseases that caused sores or eruptions on the skin. The disease was called infectious skin disease. But a person who had the disease was required by Levitical law to remain at a prescribed distance so that they would not contaminate everyone else. They were to isolate themselves from others in order to prevent an epidemic. Can I put another pin there?
Yes.
Have you ever been isolated? Have you ever been separated? Have you ever just needed somebody to love you? Have you ever just needed somebody to care about your situation?
Yeah.
But the lepers didn't have that opportunity.
Go ahead now.
They had to stay with the group who was dealing with the same thing they were going through.
Talk, preacher.
Can I put another pin there?
Yeah.
Far too often we hang with people that are going through the same thing.
Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher.
They can't help us.
Talk, preacher. Talk, preacher.
If I'm broke and you broke, you can't help me. If I'm going through the going through and you going through the going through, you don't care nothing about my going through.
Say it, preacher.